Hello everyone, what is up and welcome back to the channel Rumors. I actually don't even know how to start this whole video off, honestly, because I have talked so much about this M1 MacBook Pro on my channel probably multiple times because that's how much I love this MacBook. Its price tag, its user interface, its whole form factor, everything. I just love this M1 MacBook Pro so much. I realized that after my 6 months review of the M1 MacBook Pro, I totally didn't do any review or any follow-up about this MacBook. It's as if I totally forgot about this MacBook. Despite talking about it repeatedly, I didn't even do a long-term review. I didn't even do a 1-year review. After the 6 months review, things just went off for this MacBook. So now here we are, 3 years later. I got this M1 MacBook Pro back in May of 2021 and now it's January 2025. It's a good 3.5 years later. We are finally back onto the review of the M1 MacBook Pro. It's a long delayed review, so here we are finally after 3.5 years. I am talking about my experience in using this M1 MacBook Pro. I'm going to be showing all of you the condition in which this MacBook is right now, and in the end the classic question for all of review: should you buy this in 2025? So that's what we're going to be discussing in the end. So without further ado, let's get started right into the review. Just a quick refresher, my MacBook is a silver color M1 MacBook Pro. Usually we'll take some time to talk about the technical specifications of the computer, but this time I just cut it short. It's a newer computer, so we don't really need to go through them or technical specifications. I want to talk more about my regular daily usages on this computer. This whole channel started off with this computer, so that means daily editing, my daily consumption, everything was on this device. This device was not just my personal computer, it was my personal computer, my editing device, music device. But music device, I think we'll put a small asterisk over there. And the reason is, for music, I was mostly using my 2009 iMac. But occasionally music would be playing. But most of the time, whenever it's on the go, traveling or whatever, it is the M1 MacBook Pro. So technically, everyday driver. So that means we're going to be seeing how it's holding up after 3 years. Here we have Geekbench open up. Now let's run the CPU bench. Now the results are out, and here's the results. You can see right over here. It's got 2397 for single core and 8821 for multi-core. I don't have the old results, so I can't compare it together this, and I don't even know when was the last time I did Geekbench. Compute score, it's got a total of 21,642. Now that we have done with Geekbench, let's talk about the build quality. How has this MacBook hold up over the years? But before I take a look about it, I want to say that this MacBook, I have not used the keys on it. Just take it, slot it in my bag, and off I go. So it has been between keys, between books. Basically, I've put this MacBook through everything. I'll drop the MacBook down when it's in the bag too. And let's take a look at the build quality on how is it after 3 years of regular usage. Firstly, let's take a look at the outer shell of the MacBook. Here you can see that the screen is actually bent. So there it is one, and if you take a look at the side, there's nothing else except at the corners over here. Another corner, then there's a huge mark on the aluminum chassis. When I put it at this angle here, you can see that there's a small dent over here, a small dent over here at the bottom chassis. I don't know if it's visible on camera, but there's minor scratches over here. And at the corner right over here, there is another small chip. Now if you flip it to the inside of the MacBook, here you can see that my whole touch bar has been spoiled. It senses the touch, but there's nothing on the screen. The whole touch bar is fully gone, is fully spoiled. And that brings us to the build quality of this MacBook. This MacBook, I would say, is a fantastic build quality. I really like the build quality because no matter what I throw at it, I think I've mentioned a few times that I have changed the display on this MacBook. Yeah, that is true. I have changed the display on this MacBook twice, so this is not the original display that came with the MacBook, but those are all solely my mistakes, my own blatant mistakes that I did not take care of the MacBook properly and it's spoiled. So the display, I definitely won't blame it on the MacBook. It's totally my fault. But other than that, there are 3 other repairs that I did that wasn't my mistakes, and that is the touch bar twice. Okay, the touch bar is actually once, and the second time it's spoiled right over here. So the first time the touch bar, I was using it and suddenly the brightness started going down. This was over a course of 2 months actually, and then after a while it was totally gone. I didn't do anything and the touch bar just spoiled. I've changed the screen twice. I've changed the touch bar once. I've already changed the USB-C ports at the side once. That is the hardware part of the MacBook. I think without the touch bar, this would have been a much better experience. The touch bar is just too fragile. I just wouldn't recommend anyone buying a touch bar right now. But now let's talk about the battery life. How is the battery life standing on this MacBook after 3 years? I have coconut battery open here, and this is what I usually use to measure my battery. And here we can see that my battery health is at 85.2% with a cycle count of 479. If we open settings and battery, it shows that the battery condition is normal and there is a maximum capacity of 88%. So this shows 88% and coconut battery shows 85%. There's a slight small differences, and if you take a look at system information, here it shows that there's a cycle count of 479 with a maximum capacity of 88% and battery cycle is normal. I don't know whether you are shocked, but I definitely am, because even after 3 years of regular usage, the S22 Ultra release, I released a bunch of videos during phone releases and during main tech events. The iPhone 15 series, I did a whole bunch of testings. During those times, this MacBook will just be full on running. I'll be back and forth transferring videos, and at the same time I'll be shooting videos, I'll be editing them. So most of the time will be on power, and once the power depletes, I don't even let it charge. I just plug the MacBook in and off I go to edit again, because the videos need to get pushed out and I don't have time to wait for the MacBook to charge up. So this MacBook has been through everything, and sometimes it heats up. I put the cooling pad. I think if you cut it short, I can say that I've done every single thing that I'm not supposed to do, which drains the battery health. And despite all that, the battery stands strong to me. Even at 88%, I have no complaints about low battery health. I have no complaints about the battery draining fast. Even now, this MacBook lasts me more than a day. If I'm using it for just a normal task, it lasts me more than a day. But of course, during video editing, it doesn't last, and that's normal. Now let's talk about the weight and portability of this MacBook. I really love this 30-inch form factor. Here you can see that I can hold it, I can carry it. Let me just stand up and show it to you. Yeah. So here you can see I'm standing up and I'm holding this MacBook, and this is actually pretty light. I can just hold it like that and I can bring it. It's a powerful machine, at the same time it's compact inside a small form factor. As you can see here, I can flip it around. It's really light, carry it everywhere I want. When I switched over from my Intel MacBook to my M1 MacBook Pro, this was much lighter. When I brought my Intel MacBook, it was so heavy. But the M1 MacBook Pro being so light is also one of the disadvantages, I guess, because like I said, I threw it everywhere, just bring it everywhere around, and the physical damages are pretty evident. We'll talk about the size and weight now. Onto the connectivity of this MacBook. The M1 MacBook Pro only has 2 USB-C ports, and that is an issue because sometimes when I want to connect some USB drive, when you connect small USB drive like this, let's say I connect it over here, and I want to connect another drive, it is not an issue. I can connect 2 drives at once, and this is not an issue. But now when I remove it and when I connect a different drive, let's say this is also USB-C hub, but this is a USB-A to USB-C. Let's say I plug this in, and this is where the issue comes in. Here you can see this is pretty thick, so this actually consumes slightly more space and it eats slightly into the other USB-C port, and that is when the issue comes in. Because now we are going to be plugging this in, it's hard for me to even push this in, and when I push it in, pushing the other adapter out, and sometimes during data transfer this problem has happened. So I have plugged both drives in, and it will detect, it will first start transferring, and halfway it will stop because it will start pushing and one of the drives will get loosened up. I can't explain enough how this 2 USB-C port has been a troublesome issue to me. At the start, when I got this MacBook, USB-C port wasn't that much of an issue. But the moment I started creating content, I started creating my YouTube channel, and when I started transferring multiple data over, it started to be slightly problematic. And the problem just grew over time. And the problem lasted not just for my YouTube task, it started for my daily task as well. Sometimes I might be transferring 2 drives at once, and I probably want to plug in a small mouse at the side and go on. Not everyone uses Magic Mouse, yeah? I want to plug in another mouse, the USB-C port comes as because there's only 2 and both is also occupied. When I want to plug in my MacBook to charge, that's an issue as well, because sometimes when both the drives are active, I can't do anything. And the other very big issue is not about the 2 USB-C port, it's about how it's situated. It's situated so close to each other that sometimes, like I said, I'm having this problem. When I plug both drives in at the same time, it started to clash together, and sometimes I don't even have space to put the other drive in. Despite having another USB-C port, just because of space limitation, I am unable to put the drive in. This is really frustrating. Yeah, I think you can sense by my tone that I'm really frustrated by this because it's just too bad. As for the display, I don't have any issue with the display. The display is great, as you can see right over here. This came out in 2020. And it doesn't even look like a 5-year-old MacBook. You can see the display is gorgeous. I don't see anything wrong with the display. The display has never given me any sort of issue. And there's never once that I felt that the display is lacking something. No matter what kind of content you watch, it's always just great. But one of the few times that I thought about display was not because of the display quality, but was more of for the brightness. Sometimes I just felt like my display would have been better if it was slightly more brighter. But that's about it. Display, fantastic, no issues, nothing. Because I was talking about my editing experience, and that reminds me of the thermals of this MacBook. But as I edited further, like as I edited more videos, as I started going, I started noticing this weird trend on this MacBook. I'm not really sure, is it just me witnessing it or is it just my MacBook? But this M1 MacBook Pro, at the start, it doesn't even heat up at all. It barely heats up, and it's fantastic. There's barely any heat coming from this MacBook, and even when I started editing, it barely even gets warm. But as I progressed further and I started editing more, and as I started using this MacBook more, it started heating up even for small web browsing tasks. I'll just be browsing the web, I'll just be doing some multitasking. It doesn't even need to have so many apps open in the background. It won't even have Final Cut Pro open in the background or nothing. And even then, the chassis of the MacBook start heating up. See, right now, we've just been playing a small amount of YouTube video, and I'm touching the chassis at the bottom, it is slightly warm. I don't know why this reason is, and due to this, I had to find another workaround, and that is Mac Fan Control. For those of you who don't know, Mac Fan Control is an app which turns on the MacBook's automated fan to full blast. Let me just turn it on. I think it's audibly much clearer. You heard for yourself how the Mac fan sounded. This is the condition of my MacBook all the time when I edit. I turn the Mac Fan Control on, I put a cooler pad at the bottom. When I'm editing videos that require more graphics layers, when I'm putting more layers on top of my videos, I will definitely use an external laptop cooler to cool the MacBook down and I'll edit at the same time. That's how it has been. I don't know what the issue is. I even open the MacBook up, I clean the fan and all of that, and the issue still persists. So I do not know why. As for daily tasks and daily usages, this MacBook is phenomenal. Without Final Cut Pro and all of that, this MacBook is really smooth. Even the swap issue that I kept complaining about in my initial reviews, all of them are completely solved. The swap barely happens. The amount of RAM that this MacBook uses is still insane. It's technically taking up 1 GB of RAM just to run YouTube off the web. So that's kind of crazy. You heard the speakers for yourself. These speakers really phenomenal. Even after 4 years, the speakers are really good, just like day one. Just like day one, how I got it out of the box, I think the speakers still hold up. Sometimes, occasionally, not always, but occasionally, I do have some static noises on the speakers that happen from time to time. But other than that, the speaker is phenomenal. Should you buy this MacBook? Before I answer that question, I just want to say that if some of you all felt like I was slightly biased in this review, then just do leave it in the comments below. I love the M1 MacBook Pro a lot. I tried to be neutral in my review, but if I was really praising the MacBook Pro a lot, just let me know. I will change it because I felt like I was praising it too much, but just let me know in the comments below. I was genuinely trying to say my thoughts, or just let me know in the comments below. Other than the fact that I love this MacBook, in the end, how has this MacBook held up after all these years? Without my harsh way of handling this MacBook, I feel like this would have held up much better, just my MacBook alone. Because when I look around and I see other people having M1 MacBook Pros, theirs is in a much better condition. Usually I keep my devices in a really good condition for a long time, but this M1 MacBook Pro, I think I was just too careless with it, that I think I just let it just hit everywhere. Just a lot of dents and scratches everywhere. I think my new MacBooks I think I should have been more careful with it. Even if I'm carrying it around, should have been more careful. In the end, if you ask me, should you buy this MacBook in 2025? I'll immediately say, do not buy this MacBook. And I have multiple reasons for it. One of the main reasons you all know is the touch bar. Do not get the touch bar. Please, do not get the touch bar. A lot of people told me this, do not get the touch bar. But I went ahead and I just bought it. I was like, you know what, I like the touch bar, I'm gonna get it. And even until now, I'm saying I like the touch bar. I love the touch bar. A lot of people, they hate the touch bar, but I really love it. But the problem with it is it does not last long. The touch bar just shows a lot of problems. It has a lot of problems, a lot of issues. I think if you ask me, would I take the issues to still leave a touch bar? I think my answer will be no. I would rather have function keys over touch bar rather than handling these issues. And the issues are, the touch bar just randomly spoils. For no reason it spoils and I have to replace it, which is unnecessary expense, but I can just buy one at function keys and have no other issues, so it's unnecessary expense. And the second one is the touch bar lags a lot. So when you need the controls at the most crucial time possible, it freezes. Even after I unlock my MacBook, it keeps showing enter touch ID to unlock your Mac. So the second is the overall design of the MacBook. This MacBook is a really old design. Touch bar, the whole entire MacBook is a old design. It's the old MacBook form factor. It's the old Intel form factor. So do not buy it. Now we are currently having M4 MacBooks, and this is M1, and this is a whole 4 generations away. This MacBook is really capable now, and the 4th generation is not an issue. But even though it's an issue for future proofing, if you're currently buying it now for $400-$500, it's not an issue if you're going to be using it for 1 or 2 years. But for future proofing, the M1 MacBook Pro is not a great option. So with that, grab your like button, get subscribed, turn on notifications so you get notified whenever I post a video. And this will be my last video using the M1 MacBook Pro. I'm going to be selling it away because it has too many issues, and I don't think keeping it is a wise decision to do. Just get some cash out of it, even though I'm going to be getting very less from what I paid for. Still, something is better than nothing. Let's bid farewell to this M1 MacBook Pro, and with that, thank you so much for watching. Catch all of you in the next one. Bye bye.